Welcome back to the OIS Podcast. In this episode, Tom Ruggia, President and CEO of Samsara Vision, describes how athletics and family have given him the qualities needed to be a successful entrepreneur. Let's listen to his story.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Ehsan Sadri, board-certified ophthalmologist, co-founder and general partner of Visionary Ventures. And I'm here in lovely Newport Beach, California. And I'm very excited by my next guest and friend who's joined us. Recently, we had a good conversation about his company. So I got really excited about having him join us on this podcast. What I really like about our next guest is he's got basically both ends covered, big company experience and now startup company. And as you know, we're in an innovation summit space and we support a lot of the startup companies and we have a lot of strategics. So I'm really excited about diving in and getting to know him and for you to get to know him a little bit about his experience. So Tom, welcome aboard. It's good to have you. How you doing?
Thank you, Ehsan, for having me. I'm just honored to be here. Happy to represent Samsara Vision and the team and the things that we're trying to accomplish. But also just pleased and thrilled to be part of the group that's done the OIS podcast. It's a star-studded group, and I'm happy to put my name in that mix.
Well, we're delighted to have you. We all work for Craig, so it's just. It's his baby, and we're just delighted to have you. And tell us a little bit about your personal background, because I know you, and but I want the audience to get to know you a little bit. Where did you grow up? And tell us about some of the earlier influences in your sort of development.
Sure, I'm a Jersey guy. Anybody that really knows me knows I'm a Jersey guy. Exit 9 on the Turnpike, representing East Brunswick, New Jersey, born and raised. I was a lifelong athlete. I'm so Jersey. I married my high school sweetheart, who also East Brunswick, New Jersey. We have 3 kids and we live in New Jersey now after many years of traveling around with work. And not all of my kids are from New Jersey, but we got back here as fast as we could for family and everything. But a Jersey guy, went to school in Jersey, and that's been a big influence on my life. I'm also a lifelong athlete, and I think that's where quite a bit of my influences through my life have come from coaches and players. And, I think you learn a lot about the entrepreneurial spirit from, I played college football and now I'm an Ironman triathlete, but in football, you learn that, you begin the season and you've got 10 opportunities or 11 or 12 opportunities to win football games and to make a meaningful season out of your goals and ambitions. And for that, you need a vision for success. I think that's probably the first priority of any good entrepreneur, is to have that vision for what great looks like. You see these examples of people that started in their garage, but they knew that phase wouldn't last long and it was a hurdle that they would overcome. And, I think that you go back to football, you start a summer training for a season and you have this vision for what you want the season to be, but that it's not on that track and it's not in 100-degree heat in East Brunswick at a track. It's on the football field in the fall, wherever that might be. And, I think point number 2 and what makes an entrepreneur fantastic is that relentless work ethic. And again, sports, I think, that gave that to me. But another influence in my life really was my parents and my brother. My brother is born with special needs. And as a brother of a special needs person, you learn to have, a deep degree of compassion, but also a sense of purpose. And that I think also an entrepreneur needs to bring in that passion for what they're doing. And it can't be about the dollar in the end. It has to be about what you're delivering to patients and people. I learned that from my brother and my mother and father who helped raise. My brother's still around. I'm 40. I'm 45 years old now. He's 41 and he's doing great under the wonderful example my parents set as to how to be, a lifelong caregiver for someone with special needs. And, I think you bring that into entrepreneurship. You've got this vision for the future. You got this relentless work ethic and you've got that sense of meaning and purpose. But, also, and I think we'll probably talk about this quite a bit as we talk, and, as an entrepreneur, that road, you've seen that classic graph where you think the road's going to be straight, but it takes several zigzags before you get to success. And overcoming adversity is another thing that that you have to have as an entrepreneur. And I think I learned that both from sports and my family, in the sense that you have setbacks that you have to overcome, whether it's in a season where you lose a game, or whether it's with a family member who gets ill or something. You have to work together to as a unit with heart and enthusiasm to overcome that adversity and get back on track for that vision for success, and not let it to bring you down. So, long way to say, a Jersey boy with deep roots, and I great examples throughout my life, but I think that really the driving force has been my family and being an athlete.
That's terrific. So, and then when you're in Jersey, and we have a lot of good common friends that are from Jersey. Studied science and you got a bachelor's in science at the College of New Jersey, and you graduated in '98. Is that correct?
Yeah, the College of New Jersey is a wonderful story. I'm actually a first generation college student. So we didn't grow up with expansive means in my household, and I got the opportunity to play sports and to go to school at the College of New Jersey, which I'll say that the New Jersey State college system is wonderful for so many reasons, but the College of New Jersey is an up and coming place. I had a great academic experience there. I studied kinesiology. I also was just fortunate to be able to play. It was Division III football, but it was high level. We went to the playoffs every year, finished fifth 2 of my 4 years. And I was a captain and an All-American, 2-time college football All-American. And that was just a wonderful experience. And I'm blessed to say that today I'm actually a board member at the school, and I'm a mentor for people coming through athletics with intent to go on into the workforce and be leaders. I just think it's a wonderful breeding ground for people that are successful and like to stay involved as much as I can. But kinesiology, I'm sure, your next question is going to be, well, that's not exactly business. And it's certainly not Harvard business, but it's not business. And how'd you make that next step? And, it was interesting. So I went and studied kines, and my goal in life was to be a physical or occupational therapist. And I was saving up my money to pay for physical therapy school. And I was doing a volunteership locally with a physical therapist. And we had a great couple of weeks and learned a lot shadowing. And I think we hit it off because as we were completing the task, she had to sign off, and she pulled me into her office and said, look, the one piece of advice I'm going to give you today, take it or leave it, is run far away from physical therapy. And I was like, oh no, this is my lifelong dream, is to be a physical therapist. I don't want to, my career dream at least was to be a physical therapist. And now I have to think about this. And the example she gave was, and I think will hit home for you, Ehsan, is managed care was starting to really overtake physical therapy and reducing the fee for service that they got. And it was harder for her every year to make a living versus the prior year. And she said that medical legal with the orthopedic surgeons that she worked with limited her professional creativity. And a person, if you know me, you know that's two things. I do like to make a living, of course, and I like to be successful, but I like when the playing field is set up for me to be successful. And so that limitation made me really think. And then the second thing was personal and professional creativity, and having a limit on my professional creativity made me really consider, what am I going to do? At the time, I was working also as a personal trainer, trying to pay for school. And one of my clients was an Alcon rep. And just so happened, here's an Alcon rep working out with me in the morning. We're talking, and he's getting promoted to be a manager in Georgia, and he's leaving a vacant territory. He says, hey, you should consider, thinking about doing this role and backfilling me. And so I took it serious, but I went home and talked to my wife. And if you know me, I overdo everything. So as a personal trainer, I was not a 9-to-5 personal trainer. My first client was usually 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was finishing up at 11:30 at night, sleeping in my car someday, trying to make, a success for my business. And so I told my wife about this guy in the gym, and he offered me this role, and she's like, you better take that. So I always can go back and blame her for all the things that have gone on since, all the travel and everything that we do. But yeah, so I took the role with Alcon as a pharma sales rep. backfilled a guy named Todd Zavodnik, and Todd went on to be a manager in Georgia. Then he moved on through his career in a hospital division at Alcon, went to China for Alcon for a bit, went to Galderma, went to Revance, and now he is the CEO of Dermavant in Southern California, a company working on a topical for psoriasis. So I backfilled Todd in his position, and he did, he left tough shoes to fill, and I worked my butt off and was a pretty good sales rep and enjoyed it. That was the big thing, is you have that passion for what you're doing. And, we had great quality products and we were doing well with the products with a purpose, but it also was competitive, and it really hit that athletic spirit. And, so competing with my fellow reps and competing with the competitors in the marketplace, and all that really hit that athletic gene pretty hard and set me up to move on with Alcon, where I had a great 14 years there. Person that backfilled me in my territory, actually as a footnote, is now my VP of worldwide marketing for Samsara Vision. So the lineage in that Trenton, New Jersey, Alcon territory was strong. A lot of good leaders came out of it.
That's terrific. I mean, there's so much there, for young entrepreneurs to learn. You kind of jumped on opportunity, even though you didn't have all the answers, and you're working really hard and successfully as a personal trainer, but just jumped in a whole new career. And I think being so open, right, having the open-mindedness, so important in business, to be able to try something new, even though that's sort of, you may be comfortable. I think that's another thing. It's like when I interview new doctors or new employees, either they have that drive or they don't, and it's okay either way. It's just know thyself, right?
That's right.
So tell us about. So you got this. So you got you the Alcon Pharma, and then you and I worked together in J&J. So you got kind of that experience on the consumer side. A lot of good experience there. And then tell us about sort of those positions that were critical. You don't have to probably go through all of them.
Yeah.
But what were the more salient ones that now led you to the current role with Samsara?
Yeah, sure. 14 years at Alcon. I was there at a wonderful time. It was early 2000s, take you back to Restore Resume days. It was, prior to Intralace, all laser lace. And these are, we still had refractive radio commercials during the afternoon sports radio talk shows, right? So it seems like a long time ago now, but it's still recent past. But that decade of the 2000s at Alcon was super special. You had 30 somethings, all the men, women that were driving and trying to make a career. And now if you look at the startups all over ophthalmology, you find us everywhere. And that was, I think, indicative of the talent that Alcon had brought on. And what they did wonderfully was they moved us and pushed us to different things. And they had opportunity, right? So you had pharmaceutical, you had consumer products, and you had surgical products, but not limited to cataract. You had retina, you had refractive coming back in with the Wavelight acquisition. So you had this breadth of opportunity inside one company, inside one organ, and you could do marketing. And so my career was, sales in the US, sales management in the US, marketing in the US, but then also marketing director, Asia Pacific, where I took on 19 countries. I had the full line front to back. So I had everything from contact lens care all the way through retina surgical. So I had the entirety of the line, and learned all of those regulatory environments and what it takes to make a winner in China versus making a winner in India and Southeast Asia, and all the richness of that experience for 3.5 years was more than you could get even in an MBA or something like that, because you felt it and lived it and breathed it on a daily basis. But that's today I still draw back on those experiences in surgical, but also understanding the differences between pharma and consumer and healthcare, and all the things that go into that, and then move from there to running a country. I had vision care business in Canada for Alcon, where you learn the responsibility of running a P&L for a country, and those were all extremely rich experiences. And I did that along with some people. I think you talk about mentorship. You can look at mentorship in two ways, and I'll bring the example back to athletics. You have your coaches, of course, and they're mentors, but on the field, you're playing with players that you respect for a lot of different reasons. And those years at Alcon, having those other people that are my age out there performing with. We had friendship, competed against each other in a healthy way, but we were achievement oriented. We learned from each other's experiences, and the lunch conversations and the morning runs and the evening cocktail or whatever the experiences we had as a group, learning from each other. I think still each person in that day and age would go back to that experience and say, I learned a lot during that. It made me who I am today. But, just to name, the names, it's Bill Burns, it's Stuart Reitzman, Tom Dooley, Tariq Cloutier, who's on our board now, Christian Roski with Novalik. And these are all people that you would sit, and Todd Zavodnik, CEOs. And these are top people. And we just were at a point in our career where we were learning and growing together. And that was super special. And leaving there, I got the chance to go to J&J and come back to New Jersey from Toronto. Lived in Toronto for 3.5 years, moved back to Jersey, brought the family back, and joined on with Janssen Pharmaceuticals. So I had a retina cell therapy. It was pre-commercial. I was in charge of the commercial, designing the commercial efforts, which was complicated with the supply chain nature of a cell therapy and such. And a lot of good experiences, but a mentor I had there was Susan Orr. I don't know if you know Susan, but Susan has not only she taught me that the subject matter was important and you needed to be deep in the area of expertise where you were dependent upon. And, I still look at Susan as someone who's one of the foremost experts in our field for, many different things. And she taught me quite a bit about business during that time, and got the opportunity during my Janssen days to do a night job as the commercial lead to acquire AMO from Abbott. And that's where I met Tom Frinzi. He was across the desk and we were trying to do the deal, and he did not think J&J would be the one that could pull it off, but we did. We had 6 weeks to do due diligence on a $4.5 billion transaction. And we pulled that off thanks to some strong market modeling, which is a skill I still use today. I learned that from, some people that were involved in that project. And, I think they'd be proud of the models we put together these days. But yeah, I think it's a great question. And I've just been always so blessed to be around great people. Ashley McAvoy, a mentor of mine at J&J. Frenzy, I worked directly for Frenzy for years, and the list goes on and on. It's sometimes it's your teammates, sometimes it's your coaches, but I've just been blessed with great mentors and great examples for what good looks like.
Yeah, we could go on. So, the names you mentioned, Tom and Ashley, and there's just some incredible leaders, and there's so much there. So, for those of you listening, it's important to have good mentorship. I always say your ego is not your amigo. So you need to know what you don't know and learn, and always be a student. Show up and learn. Tell me, so what makes you excited now about Samsara Vision? I know it's an Israeli company and there's a lot of amazing pipeline innovation technology coming out of Israel. Tell me about, was it what was it that drew you into this technology? The company, and tell me the challenges of working with a team that's in Israel versus, let's say, if it were in Jersey or in Santa Ana.
Yeah, I think the COVID experience has gotten us all used to working at distance, but that still does have some challenges. Where I fell in love with, at the time, it was Vision Care Inc., if you remember back. And I knew Wolfgang Toley from Wavelight days when Alcon was acquiring Wavelight, but Wolfgang and I met at it was JP Morgan conference, and I can't remember what year, but I was still at Janssen, and he was talking about the technology. He was CEO, and he's talking about the visual response from the patients, and the telescopic implant brings 3 and 4 lines of vision gain to late stage AMD patients. So he had me there. I'm listening now. I remind you, my influence really is that patient. We were talking about my brother, right, and the his experience as a person with special needs. And so blindness means something to me, and fighting blindness, means something to me in my career. I need to be attached to a purpose. And I always have had a purpose with the organ that we work in. Vision is everything. I think that. And this to me, okay, you have my attention, 3-4 lines gained in late stage AMD. At the time I'm working on a cell therapy for geographic atrophy. And these are the patients that are in line for the IMT. And so I'm interested. So we were talking, and then, the questions start coming up. Tell me about the reimbursement. Oh, reimbursement's great. We've established reimbursement. So that's wonderful. Okay, well, tell me about your commercial challenges. And, then you started to hear there was a surgical delivery issue with some trauma related to the Generation 1 technology. And patients were more difficult to find because of the label limitation in the US market. There's the post-op care that needed to happen. And, the go-to-market strategy and branding and such were quite challenging. So I always thought, and from that day, I thought, this is a technology that needs to win, right? And I followed it along under Wolfgang's leadership throughout the years. And during my time at J&J Vision Surgical, I was still an advocate for the technology and attended some of the BD meetings, and always really sung the praises of the idea. If we can get that implant to be less traumatic, easier for the surgeons to deliver, and a better patient experience, then you're bringing 3 and 4 lines of vision back to patients with late stage AMD. That's a meaningful purpose, and it's a great business too, because you have you start with the 200 million patients that have AMD. But then you whittle that down and you come to 10 million patients that have late stage AMD. And today there are about 3 million patients worldwide that suffer from we call it non-preventable blindness, right? But our technology can be a tool in the toolbox for surgeons trying to treat, those patients, these 3 million patients. And now, turning the page, I was talked to about the CEO role. Went through the process. COVID was just starting as I was doing some interviewing, and I was thinking to myself, and I'm at J&J, and you got people would say you've got big company, you've got a good job in a big company. COVID, this global pandemic. Why in the world would you choose that moment in time to make a jump? And it's purpose, right? It's you've got an opportunity to take a company that does good for people and take the lead and drive the new technology, which we can get into in a minute, but to kind of correct the ship, get it on track, and make a difference in people's lives and surgeons' lives as well, because I think this alternative for treating AMD is an important add to the armamentarium in surgery. But I start with Vision Care Inc., and I think the first thing we need to do is a brand change and a go-to-market strategy change. And that's where Samsara Vision comes in. From my days in Asia Pacific, I got to know my friends in India quite well. We were doing a lot of extensive work in India during those days. And Samsara is actually Sanskrit for rebirth. And it's a nod to the patient experience where they're going from the dark to the light. And it's a nod to the company's future where we were something and now we're introducing a new generation technology that's going to be meaningful, and it's a rebirth for the company as well. So, it was exciting time to interview, and I just can't. It's been a year. I can't believe it's been a year, but it's been the most rewarding year of my life.
It seems like a flash. It's funny because the symbolism there, the company is just very impactful. The definition of the terminology, I think, has a lot of meaning and actually purpose. So that's really fits in with what you're describing. And probably the in-laws were looking at you a little funny in the middle of a pandemic. You're going to switch and go to a startup. I'm sure that those conversations. I'm sure a little tough with the wife and the family.
It was on vacation. A lot of uncertainty,
right? And
I accepted a job on vacation with my in-laws. Said goodbye to J&J that week. I think the next week, I got a call from the Wall Street Journal, and they wanted to do a story about why the hell would you leave a great role at J&J during a pandemic. So that was exciting too. I think that was a great connection.
Yeah, that's a good selling, right? That's a validation of the move, as they say. No, but you're a good sales guy, man. I mean, if you're able to sell that to the in-laws and the wife during a pandemic, that's great. But honestly, all kidding aside, you and I both know that life is all about calculated risk, right? You'll never get anywhere if you're just playing it safe, right? And you can see your buddy that introduced you to ophthalmology is now the CEO here in Orange County. Will tell you that it's just those incremental risks that I think all of us have to take in order to achieve the unmet need, which is what you're doing, which is we're very proud of. And the technology, as you know, is very crude. It hasn't been moved for a long time, even though for sighted patients, we've had great technology, like improvements. And I think it's really wonderful that you're in that space. It's a near and dear passion of mine. Clinically, it's funny because, you mentioned Resume Restore. We had nothing. So I would put, make these patients, I would put Restore, bilateral Restore on them, like make them, -2.
Oh my gosh.
I would tell them full disclosure. We'll say full disclosure. We're not, you're basically legally blind or worse. And, there's no guarantees here. And, the data, I actually published that data. We had some really good results at the time. I mean, they were pretty, again, daring, but, that's all we had. And some of those patients were the happiest patients. I mean, the letters I got from those patients were just unbelievable. Getting the reading back. I'm like, gosh, it's and we don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah, the patient, and you were getting probably 1.5 times magnification of light. We're sitting at 2.7 times magnification of light. So we have patients that the stories, there is a patient that returned to skiing, there's patients that return to golf, but the ones that are most rewarding tell the story about no longer being sort of captive at home or reliant on family members, being able to be free. And that's the word we use quite a bit here is we don't bring vision back, we bring freedom back for the patients to enjoy the remainder of their lives. And the enemy we fight against is the concept of non-preventable blindness. I mean, that's just a life sentence that no one needs to hear. And, we bring that technology and your pioneership of piggybacking the restorers, that still goes on. And I think our original technology made it challenging because of the nature of the procedure. But, now we're 11 procedures in with our smaller incision, new generation IMT or SING IMT, which it's a wonderful brand name. I think it's really simple brand name that talks to the patient experience, but plus the OR experience for the surgeon is far different. It's half the time it took the original. It's so much less trauma. We're averaging 7.8% ECD loss. The original technology was up around 20+% ECD loss. So we've improved that impact on the eye so much. We've now got patients back to 2 years clinically, and you see that lens is just fixed right in where it was implanted and doesn't move, and it's great. I mean, it's a good opportunity to have a new option for these folks, and the GA side of this. So you've got wet AMD patients where medication or injections are no longer effective and they're no longer bleeding. Those are late stage AMD. But the GA side of this equation, I mean, these folks, they never had anything, right? So they had vitamins and maybe there was the hope of a trial or two, but they never really experienced that hope of getting their vision back. And here we are with something that's a little different.
So, as we're, kind of coming down to close, tell us about what your portfolios look like. I know you and I had talked offline about where you are financially and what you're doing and all the success you're gaining, but tell us what the portfolio looks like and tell us about some of the financing you're raising now.
Yeah, we've got a wonderful ownership with Innovatus Capital Partners, who owns 99% of the company, believes in the technology, believes in the leadership team and knows we're on the right path. We are looking for, I would prefer to raise capital privately, and that's what we're working on today. We need some money. We need $30 million or so to break even. But I think with strategic investors is really what I'm interested in finding the right investors that know ophthalmology or that know medical device or know how to put us on the path to success and can bring something to the team. If you look at the changes we made recently to the board of directors over the year, we brought in people that can help us in certain areas. Tracy Valori, John Talamo, David Schiff, they bring new skill sets that we didn't have prior. And, they've made us all the better over the year. And I want investors that are like that want to take this journey to build this company into something meaningful. I see us bringing SING IMT. We're working with Aura to submit for our PMA supplement that's necessary for U.S. approval. And we'll continue along that journey this year. We'll be in trial hopefully by the end of the year. So, there's some meaningful value to create once we're in trial and once we get approval. In Europe and Asia Pacific, we're beginning commercialization now, fast and furious, getting centers of excellence on board to be treatment centers. But, as we build this business, I'd like to have people that are bringing things to the table that set us on a path that's beyond what we could do on our own. And today we'll be the company that's innovating for late stage AMD, but can we be the company that innovates long term for late stage retina conditions? So not limiting it to the telescopic implant, not limiting it to AMD, but broadening that out with people that think differently about problems and not accepting non-preventable blindness, whether that's from diabetic retinopathy or from AMD or inherited retina diseases. Surgical technologies can treat these diseases, and we don't have to accept that blindness is a sentence that people have to live with for the rest of their lives. So yeah, I'm looking for investors that'll take that journey with us for the short term and the long term. I think this company is just getting started on value creation. So I think from a financial point of view, I think we're a great de-risked because we had 700 implants prior to this technology coming aboard. I think people see new technology and that's the risk that they're evaluating. But for us, we have established reimbursement and 700 procedures already done with the original technology. So you kind of jump on a de-risk train, and but we do need something. We do need some some strategic help in certain areas, and we always value that with new teammates, and not to be cheeky and bring it back to that athletic example in the beginning. We do need new teammates and more talent on the team to push us to those heights that we know this company can go.
Very good. And then tell us some pearls. So you meet a young Tom working in the gym, sleeping in his car, trying to make a living with kids. What are you telling him? You got a bigger car? What are you telling him? Yeah.
I'll say the back seat of a Nissan Altima is not a comfortable place to sleep. But if you're the kind of person that can spend a few days there, then you're on my team, right? So yeah, I think Frenzy always used to complain about people that he would interview, and he'd say, "Oh, that guy was born on third base, yelling that he hit a triple." And that sticks with me. And it's that person that doesn't want to do the work but wants that easy life. That's not. Don't go to startups. Stay wherever you're at, and thank God you've got what you got going on. But if you're the kind of person that can wake up every day and kick and scream till success happens, and I listen to a podcast about no 0 days, and that if you're the kind of person that can't go to sleep unless you've taken a step forward or you moved something in your life forward, then startups are a really good place for you. And I would say yes and go. And you're never, if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity and that, the CEO job at Amazon when it's $1 a share, those they're not going to come to you, first of all, because you're a new CEO, but they don't exist and they don't come up often. So you got to go find something. And you got to make it yours and make it a success and prove that you can do it. And once, the satisfaction and confidence that comes from that, if it's purpose driven, especially, can just catapult a career. So if you're that kind of person that hit the triple and then needs to be pinch run for because you ran out of gas headed to third, startups are for you. And there'll be plenty of people that could be that can pinch run for you and close the deal and get home. Yeah,
very good, very good. So you and I can talk for hours, man. And it was just been so great to get you on, with us. And so it's just so good to get your insight. And I wish you all the success. And I look forward to bringing you back on and hearing all the wonderful things you're doing.
Yeah, I look forward to coming on maybe in a couple of years and telling you the blueprint for success that we've done here over the years at Samsara. But I'm also looking forward to seeing you at meetings. We're getting back to that now, and it's nice to go back in public and see people that you know and love throughout your career. So it'd be great to see you again and coming up at many the 2021 second half should be great.
Yeah, we've got we've got some lineup coming up and it's going to be good to break bread with everybody else. So great to see you, Tom.
Yes, sir. Have a great one.
Thank you for listening. Tom's story really shows how life's experiences can lead you to success in your professional pursuits. For a full dose of retina innovations, join OIS in San Antonio, preceding ASRS on October 7th. Visit OIS.net for updates and to sign up in the coming weeks. We'll see you next time for more stories and insights with ophthalmic innovators on the OIS Podcast.